Hello, and welcome to a virtual tour of the Civic Arts Plaza Theaters here in Thousand Oaks. I'm Michael Tachco. I'm the Technical Production Supervisor for the Bank of America Performing Arts Center and the Cultural Affairs Department of the City of Thousand Oaks. We're responsible for the theater operations, and today we thought we would take this opportunity to show you some of the tech stuff backstage, behind the scenes. Things you wouldn't necessarily be able to see if you just came to the theater. In fact, because this is a virtual tour, we're able to go to some places we normally wouldn't be able to go if we were doing a walkthrough tour. So welcome. I'm really excited to be able to show the theaters to you, and I thought we would start all the way at the top. Looking outside the window, you can see what I mean by at the top. This is the catwalk level, the follow spot booth of the Fred Kavli Theatre, and this is as high and as far away as you can get and still be able to see the stage from here inside the theater. The reason it's called the follow spot booth is because there are 4 of these huge lights that are hand operated by stagehands that are designed to throw a small pool of light all the way down to the stage from here and be able to follow performers. It's about 120 feet. Now we're going to walk out onto a catwalk just to get some perspective on how high we are and how far we are from the stage. There it is. You can see that we're on a bridge that crosses from left to right over the seats of the theater. This position for the stagehands is called the second front of house position. That's what we've named it because this is where half of our front of house lighting is. So when it's time to focus lights, they come up here and they point the lights where the designer needs them to go. So now we have to go down so that we can go up even higher. Here we are at the pin rail. This is 35 feet above the stage level. And as you can see, it's a place where we load weight into the flying positions and also can operate each flying position from here as well. I'll explain a little bit more about flying positions and how we fly things over the stage when we get down to the stage. Speaking of the stage, let's take in the view before we head back upstairs. Okay, so this is definitely a place that we would not take a normal walking tour. We are on what's called the grid, which is the highest part of the entire complex. We're 10 floors above the stage level, which is almost 100 feet. The ceiling above is 100 feet. Let me show you a little bit of what's up here. What you're seeing here is the floor below. As I said, it's about 87 feet looking through the subway grating all the way down to the stage floor. Looking overhead up here on the grid, each of the wire ropes that you see here are attached to a series of pipes or flying positions on which we can attach drapery or lights or anything else that needs to fly over the stage. As we go to leave the grid, we'll be able to see what we call the loading bridge, which is this area right here, where stagehands, under the direction of the head carpenter, who's working down on stage, will tell them how much of this weight that you see distributed here on the floor needs to be added to each of the flying positions to counterweight a piece of drapery or a whole electric full of lights or whatever it is that we're flying. Each of these bricks weighs somewhere between 25 and 38 pounds. And depending on how much weight that the head carpenter wants to put on the arbors, we add them all up. If something weighs 100 pounds, we'll put about 3 full bricks on. And that should be more or less counterweight enough to allow the head carpenter to fly from the stage level. And we'll show you how that works when we get down there. Headed down the spiral staircase. And headed back down to the stage level. Having come down all those stairs, here we are on the stage, finally, of the Kavli Theatre. We were just up there, all the way up where you see the lights on the other side of the subway grating. And you can see all of these flying positions, as we were talking about up on the grid. Some drapery, some lights. And here's the view from the stage. 1,800 seats, that's what you see right here. It's a medium-sized civic auditorium. It's about the size of a Broadway theater. It was recently renovated, so everything you see here is only about a year old, and we're really proud of the way that it worked out. Because some of the original stagehands were actually firefighters between fires and sailors between voyages, a lot of the techniques that we use in technical theater to fly things, to light things, to build sets and that sort of thing, all come from the skills that would be employed on a regular basis by both firefighters and sailors. We were talking earlier about flying positions. We were looking down from above up on the grid, as you remember. Well, this is a flying position that we're walking down right now, and you can see the wire rope that comes down from above. About every 10 feet 6 inches, there's another one, and on this particular line set, there are a total of 7 of them, all holding it up evenly, distributing the weight. This particular lighting position, of course you can see these are all lights, weighs about 1,200 pounds, which is typical. And each of those wires going up to the grid and through the blocks overhead come to the top of one of these arbors. They're attached right up there. These arbors, as you can see, are designed to hold stacks of steel bricks. The steel bricks we saw up on the loading bridge. This particular electric being 1,200 pounds is going to be a lot of bricks. But it's in balance right now because the head carpenter, last time we hung this position, the head carpenter actually put it up correctly, and I'm going to show you now how it flies. So to make a position move, we just have to walk over to the rail, and you can see that it's marked electric number 2, happens to be line set number 20. And right now, that handle, the red handle, is locked on, and it's ready to go. So to unlock it, we pull the ring off, hold on to both ropes tight, and then unlock the lock by dropping it down. And then all we have to do is pull on the rope, and the flying position goes out and comes in. You see I was able to do that with just one hand. So it's pretty cool. But that's the same thing a sailor would do if they were hoisting a sail or bringing it in and stowing it. And we do the same thing every day that they did. All the techniques that they employed to make their ships work are the same ones we use now. Historically, some of the early stages were actually raked so that the audience sitting on the flat ground would be able to see up onto the stage. So rather than, you can see that audiences are now raked so that they're lower closer to the stage, and they get higher and higher and higher so they can see over one another and see everything that's happening on stage. It used to be that the stage would be raked. So the further away you get from the audience, the higher the stage would be. So, consequently, downstage is always the part that's closest to the audience, the part of the stage. Upstage is farther away from the audience. The farther away you get, the more upstage that you are. Stage left is from the actor's point of view, as he or she faces the audience. Stage left is the left-hand side. We're looking off stage left right there. And stage right is to their right-hand side. And these are the same stage directions that we still use today in the theater. Tradition is a really big part of the theater. It always has been. Performers have traditions of their own. Some people set up their makeup tables a certain way. Some people have routines that they go through getting ready for each show. The technicians who operate the equipment, move the sets, and operate the lights and sound also have traditions. One of them is the ghost light. We call this a ghost light because supposedly, back in the day, theaters would tend to have ghosts, and at least that's what they said. And to keep the ghosts from being mischievous and messing up shows, they would put out a light every night and leave it on all the time so that the ghosts understood that he was respected, that he was acknowledged by the crew, and that he was appreciated. I can't tell you if it ever worked. We fortunately haven't been around long enough to have a ghost, or at least not one that we know of. Here we are approaching the sound control area. This is a computer that is designed to control all of the different sound elements in every show. In this case, you can actually have it memorize different levels for each and every instrument or microphone or whatever it may be in the show, and then replay them again as the show goes on. I'll show you the light booth, and there's a similar computer in there. Here we are in the light booth at the Kavli Theatre. You can see the stage behind me through the glass. The light booth is where all of our theatrical lighting is controlled. It's controlled by a computer, which you can see here. And this computer's only purpose is to memorize all of the different lighting attributes going on stage. So each and every light can have a different intensity. Some of them have color changing abilities. All of the different attributes that go along with every scene in every show are memorized individually, and then they can be recalled by the computer exactly as they were originally created. Headed back toward the stage. We'll go backstage and look at some of the dressing rooms. Now, just off the stage, walking past the rail here with all the arbors and the counterweight system, the lights should magically go on. This is our backstage area. This is the artist entrance. Outside these doors is our parking lot in the back. This is the door through which each artist comes as they arrive at the theater, and the one that they walk through as they leave. We recently remodeled this area to make it a comfortable place for our artists and their crews and everyone working on the show coming in off the road. This is our star dressing room. We actually call this the suite. We created this during the last remodel, which just happened about a year ago. So it's really just a nice room, comfortable and practical, so that artists can get ready, get some rest, get ready, do their show. They spend a lot of time in their buses, and although they're really nice buses, they look forward to getting off those buses and coming inside any opportunity they get. This is what we call the green room. This is a comfortable space for the artists and their crew where they can hang out during the day. They can have their meals here. There's a refrigerator and a microwave and an ice maker and a sink and a coffee maker. Everything that they would need to make themselves at home. This is our second star dressing room. One of the reasons I always like to show off this dressing room, though, is because this was our original star dressing room. And the first performer we ever had here was Bernadette Peters. And many of you may not know who she is, but she's a really, really talented Broadway star who made some movies too. And she has a remarkable voice. And she came and played with the New West Symphony for the first two dates that we had all the way back in 1994. And believe it or not, I was here. First thing that she did, though, was she walked in. She was really excited to be here. She knew she was the first performer we were going to have. And she took a black pen, a marker, and walked over to that wall right behind me. And she signed her name right across the wall. It became a tradition after that everyone who used this dressing room would sign the wall, and some remarkable names were all over the walls. And what happened was that one day someone tagged the wall with something that was really not good. And we were asked to paint the walls so that nobody was tempted to do that again. But which sounds really sad because there's an amazing treasure trove of signatures and cartoons and all sorts of things from stars going back for the last 30 years all over these walls. But we keep track of how many layers of paint there are, and we're hoping one day an urban archaeologist will come in and carefully peel away the wallpaper and the paint, and then they're going to find this amazing, huge display of everyone who ever performed here in the first 15 years or so. Here we are in the Scherr Forum Theater lighting booth, control booth for both lighting and sound, actually. You can see over my shoulder that we're not set up for a theater show right now, and with the pandemic we wouldn't be. But there'll be a council meeting tonight, and this is the council setup that you see here behind me. I'll show you a better image here in just a moment. But many of you will recognize this not just as the council chamber, but as our smaller venue. We have a lot of school programming that comes in here on a regular basis normally, and we hope to have it back soon. The technical controls here at the Scherr Forum Theatre are very much as they are over in the Kavli. We try and keep them consistent so it makes it easier for stagehands to move from one space to the other and be able to operate the equipment just as easily as they would otherwise. Here's the sound area. This is open to the rest of the space so that the sound system can be heard while our audio guy is mixing here at the soundboard. Here we are inside the theater, just walking down toward the stage, getting a better look here at the City Council setup. Normally there would be 394 seats here in our theater configuration. All of this area below the council setup is actually an elevator that goes down to the level below. And we store all of the seats that fit on this elevator and make up the rest of the seating for the theater configuration. You can see the stage out behind. We'll go look at that in just a moment. Looking back at the light booth right up where we were. I turn on the lights so we can see a little bit better here on stage. Obviously, we're in between shows right now, but you can see how similar it looks to the larger theater, to the Kavli Theatre. And looking up, the grid's not nearly as high. Sorry about the light. It's difficult to see there. But there you can see the grid above. This is only about 43 feet from where I'm standing right now. Here we are up in the catwalks of the Forum Theatre. Looking down, it's not nearly as far as it is over in the other space. Oh, there are actually more lighting positions here. It's a little more versatile. Well, that concludes our tour of the theaters today. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I certainly did. Hope to see you back at the theaters really soon.